How does homelessness affect the community?
Does affect the community in so many different ways. You know, when families or when an individual can no longer afford to be in a home, or they become develop a problem, maybe mental illness or addiction, it really affects the whole community, because you have somebody who is in need, and you have somebody who needs resources. You have somebody who isn't able to stabilize themselves so they can contribute to the community. So, you know, we have really focused on first trying to stabilize people, just get them somewhere to sleep, try and move them as quickly as possible into from shelters and permanent housing. And if they need help, whether that's addiction treatment or mental health treatment, job assistance, help with their family, that we try and identify that. I think one of the challenges we face, whether it's in Seattle or Portland, Oregon, or San Francisco or San Diego, is the country is in a homeless crisis, a significant homeless crisis.
I think that a lot of people are being homeless because of the debt of education purposes, such as us going to debt for us trying to get our education.
Yeah, I mean, that's certainly for some people one of the reasons, because the debt load of our educational system continues to eat up more and more of people's income as they try and pay off those student loans. Still, don't let that be a reason not to pursue college if you're interested, but literally there are people older than me who've gone into retirement who are still paying off their college debts. So the way we finance our education system raises some real problems, not just for people who are homeless, but for people who just kind of want to have a family.
So, what are your future plans for like affordable housing across Washington or Seattle? I guess, yeah.
So again, this affordable housing crisis that you see is in almost every city, like Seattle, Boston, San Francisco. Right now we have a group of folks that are meeting. There are people who are activists. There are people who build low-income housing, nonprofits. There are developers who build market rate housing, among others, who are coming up with a series of recommendations that we're going to announce in June. And it's going to take a whole bunch of different actions. What are the developers going to contribute towards the solution? What is the city willing to do to change zoning so that more housing can be built? Very controversial issue in Seattle, because some neighborhoods don't want more zoning. How much should we increase the housing levy by so we can build more low-income and affordable units, as well as looking at other resources that we currently don't have, maybe additional taxes. Stay tuned for, those are a series of ideas folks are working on, and when this recommendation is finished, we will end up with what I hope will be the most aggressive affordable housing program of any city in America. Right now, for instance, we're producing 3 times the number of units in San Francisco. San Francisco is just trying to get to our level, to produce 3 times what they're producing. My goal is to actually produce 3 times more than we're producing.
How will you solve our homeless problem, you know?
Part of it is by developing more affordable housing. Part of it is really things like the minimum wage. Seattle's the first city to work towards taking a minimum wage to $15 an hour. People have more money in their pocket, life becomes more affordable. Part of it really is going to be an issue of some people don't get a lot of treatment that need treatment. And another part of it is going to have to be, you know, one time in this nation, the federal government in Washington, D.C. was a partner with local governments in building housing. And at that point in our history, the issue of affordable housing was not the crisis that we're in now. So again, it's going to take a whole bunch of actions on a whole bunch of different levels. For instance, on the mental health level, mental health is funded by the state. We're asking the legislature for more mental health beds. The Housing Trust Fund that helps us build low-income housing, we're asking the Housing Trust Fund is controlled again by the state. We're asking them to double that so that we can have some of those dollars in this city. It's going to take a whole bunch of different things to get to this to deal with this crisis. You know, to give you a sense of how big the crisis is, we just look outside Seattle and we look at Washington State as a whole. Before the Great Recession started in 2008, there were 3,000 school-aged children who were homeless. At It's 3,000 kids who are living with their family, going to school with their family. Families are moving from couch to couch, from car to car, because they have no permanent place to live. 3,000. Today, at the end of the Great Recession, there are 28,000 homeless children in the state of Washington. So the crisis is huge. It's not just Seattle. You'll see it in Olympia. You'll see it in Tacoma. We have a huge challenge to start restoring folks to permanent housing.
So in Seattle High School, do you think all their education are equal or no?
Obviously the Seattle School District has some challenges because the Seattle schools continue to have disparities on graduation rates. 40% of African Americans either not graduate on time or not graduate at all. That number is basically what it was 20 years ago. Actually, it's exactly what it was 20 years ago. For immigrant children, it's about 50%. So we have some real disparities. And next year, early next year, I'm going to have a summit on K-12 education. I want to thank you for coming, and if you want to just take a minute, I'll let you peek at the actual mayor's office.